looked at human beings from 3,000 years ago to human beings of today, we're moving in a general direction of a much more positive culture.
Right,
and
but it doesn't feel like that.
Does to me.
To me, it does too.
Racism is negative. We both agree.
So
Right,
doesn't.
100%. But it can't be depleted.
But don't you think it can be shunned out of society slowly but surely if people realize there's repercussions for racism?
Repercussions, but then you're operating from a fear. That doesn't mean that you're not racist because you're afraid to say it.
No, but people realize that, it hurts people's feelings. It causes all sorts of issues and. No.
Human beings, especially when they're in, and I've learned this all the time, when they're in a spot where they're fundamentally unhappy, it's very easy for them to lash out.
Good point.
And so if you find someone who's just miserable, right, who doesn't have, I don't know, the career, the girl, whatever it is, that person is much more likely to say something that's vitriolic.
Isn't that the bitter person? Bitter people. They grow up older and they become bitter because they're not happy with their decision in life, so they hold it into themselves and they just wait for the first opportunity to just explode.
And that's the human condition. Like, you're not happy, so you lash out at someone else.
I agree with you, but don't you think that human beings in general are less racist today? Certainly less racist publicly in America than 1950.
Oh my gosh, yes,
right?
no questions asked.
So
America
who's denying that?
Years ago.
Yeah.
If we go back 68 years ago, the world has changed for the better today.
100% in terms of like the social progress that we've made, especially in America.
Do you think it's possible that 68 years from now we could at least come very close to eradicating racism?
What?
That's a very good question.
Very good question.
If you're talking about just America,
You cannot eradicate racism, bro. You can't. We have differences as a human beings. As an individual, we have differences. We always gonna discriminate against each other. That's part of our human nature. You shooting. You're right-handed, but you want to throw with your left hand in this one. You think with your left hand you're gonna throw as strong with your right hand? You're mistaken here. That's not. We cannot, unless, like Mrs. Owens said, unless you're afraid to be vocal about things, you might just say, "Yeah, we erase racism because now we're just afraid to say what we need to say." See, that's not eliminating racism, even though it seems like you're just culturally suppressing people and not making opinion. And you can just make the argument on both sides. Oh, well, it's ethic not to oppress these kind of ideas. Good, but when we're in the field of discussion, this is the open book, no rules here, and it's okay.
Yes. Well, let's just go with America because let's just wrap it up because I don't know what the fuck's going on in China or wherever.
I don't know.
There's some places where racism is just deep.
Yeah, it's
seated, and they
deep seated. It's
accept
never going to go away.
Yeah.
So that's why I say like racism
I don't know, never
can't
go away
because
but
they change it up. Because then they'll say Americans are racist towards Muslims, right? When you say that you're going to do the Muslim ban from certain countries, and that's also considered like racism.
So
and
the
not
energy
just
goes
like,
different ways.
National security, right? So everything sort of becomes racism. So the problem with racism is nobody knows what it means anymore.
Well,
everything's racist. You could the Starbucks situation, which to me.
And just to reframe this seemed like it's an interview like 2017. Mrs. Owens was still new into the game. You can see her body language a little bit uncomfortable, leading in, shoulders up, talking too fast. Well, I know that's what she does, but she's trying to just when Joe said like, "Do you agree that hasn't got better?" But that she said first no, then he repeated, and then she said like, "Oh yeah, we definitely got better." So she's reacting to him, right? Because of course he's the alpha in the room, so you can make the exchange. At the same time, you have to understand, Rogan is a master comedian and a conversationalist. He knows how to lead a conversation. He's been doing this thousands of times. So let's see what happens.
Me was not racist. It was racist. Is that racism?
The Starbucks
we have to define
wasn't
racism.
Racist. You don't think that was racist?
No, I don't think that was racist. I live in Philly.
So you think if those were white dudes hanging out in Starbucks, not buying anything, just sitting down, mind their own business, that they would have got fucked with the same exact energy?
Okay, so let's play a different picture. So first,
Well, Joe, how do you know that? How will you know that will be the situation? Are you telling me, Joe, that's what would you do? That's what would you do? If you were in that situation, if you were the one being a manager, you will make that same decision? If you come into that conclusion, Joe? I see where you're coming from.
first off, I live in Philadelphia. I'm not kidding. I wonder if sometimes when I'm there, I'm like, I wonder if any white people live here. Like Philadelphia is 44% black, not just, excluding Hispanic, 44% black. It's unbelievable. Everyone who works in my build, everyone's black. It's like the weirdest thing. I'm like, this is a very black city, right? It's a bizarre city to be racist, outright racist in. Like you're dealing with black people all day. So you remove that and then you think to me, and I've seen this happen tons of times, is it possible, right, that this guy was just on like a power trips happen. I've seen it happen at the most bizarre places. And I'm like, all right, like at the airport the other day, like this woman gave me absolute hell at TSA. I mean, it was like, I can't even recapitulate. It was just absolute hell. I could have walked away and said she was racist and she randomly selected my bag 22 times to go through and made me go through and miss my flight, right? Or she was having a bad day and she was power tripping, you know? And when people have these little positions, it's like that movie where they go doorman, you know, like, and they have these little positions like the manager of Starbucks and you're having an off day. And these two kids, I could have easily said, oh, I'll buy a cookie, right? Like common decency, by the way, even for me,
Makes sense.
if I go use a bathroom at Starbucks, I'll just freaking buy a cookie.
I go to Starbucks myself. I need to use the restroom. Most of the time, I just buy a bottle of water. If I need to stay there with my computer for a couple of minutes, I just buy something. A small coffee, a decaf coffee, just buy something. And you can stay there for 15 minutes, hour and a half, whatever you want. What is wrong with that? You're taking space from the business. You have to understand that.
Or a little like juice box or water, just something that makes me feel all right. It's a little more civilized if I just buy something, even though I'm just here to use the bathroom. Like, so on both ends.
If you got to pee real bad and there's a line.
Right, you go and then I'll probably sprint to the bathroom and then buy something afterwards. I do that. It's like a natural thing that like it's a little more.
Now, because of these guys, you could just be a homeless person, take insane. A shower in the toilet.
It's because of outrage culture. It's an outrage culture. It's insane. Like my cousin.
Whoa. And you're okay with that, Joe? Are you okay with that? See, you're playing the devil's advocate here. You know what happens when you play with the devil, right? He never will play in your favor. Now, even yourself, you're making logic what you're saying, but you're looking at the side, just I guess laughing with the sound check guy. I don't know how is it funny?
Cousin who's half Mexican, half black, had to go through this training, and she works for Starbucks. It's to me, it's just insane. It's like, is it possible that this guy was power tripping? These kids were being like, you know, they could have just bought something and it could have been resolved. But you have two people that are being stubborn and taking it to as far as possible. You know, talk about like hall monitor, like, you know, these are the rules, and it just got too far. Well, that could be a perspective.
That is possible, but it's also possible that they were racially selected.
Yeah,
you know that
someone was racist.
Yeah.
They looked at them and they said, "These guys are black.
Yeah,
they're probably
it's
up to no good. We don't want them sitting around here and not buying anything."
How long were they sitting there again for? Could you remind me?
I don't know. Weren't they just waiting for their friend too? The whole thing didn't make any sense.
Yeah, but how long were they sitting there for? Because
I want to say 4.
You see, Mrs. Owens is not strong here. She's not taking a strong stand. She of course disagree with Joe, but she's not strong here.
45 minutes, but that's like until the cops got there. Like they probably weren't. I mean, how long does it take to get the cops to come?
Take a strong stand.
Right, so I'm just like, if
he's weak
there,
here, but you have to take a strong stand.
I've never called the cops in Philly, but I do know that like Philly.
Again, this is her beginning.
It's a very black city.
Yeah, I go to Philly all the time.
It's a very black city. You know, I was there with Dave Rubin and
Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, you know, I opened for them, and it's
open for them. You do stand up. What are you doing?
Yeah, I should do stand up. I'd be good at it.
You think?
I'm funny.
Come out tonight. I'll get you up.
I'll do it. Oh wait, no, I can't because I have a.
Go Paul.
I'm going to Wyoming right after this.
Yeah. Do you have any ideas of what you would talk about if you went on stage?
I don't know. I would be really funny though. I'm like randomly really funny.
Randomly.
Yeah, I'm good at voices.
Not when people pay.
No, I would be really good. Like I do really good voices. Like really good.
I
Like,
think he's
I'm
trying
come
to
to
just
believe that most
distract her
people
to
think
close
they'd be
her.
really good at stand up,
but it's hard.
eat shit on stage.
It's hard, yeah, because they get nervous. Yeah,
Well,
I
it's
could see
just-
that. It could
it's-
be just like, I'm not funny anymore.
It seems
I probably would be like a
something
drinker
it's
if
not.
I was on stage. I feel like I
Think
would be
so?
like that, like stereotypical comedian that just gets completely sloshed and goes out on stage.
just to try to loosen up the
yeah.
vibes.
Yeah, I
maybe.
think it's a really hard thing to try to be funny in front of like a sold out room.
I think it's important to be objective, and I think it's important
See?
to look at something for what it really is.
Hey,
and I
he's
think
smart. He's smart, and she was not ready for this. He deviated the conversation, right, to disturb her from her thinking, to go back and just close and just make sure that she can agree with him with his statement. But he's now coming from a frame perspective. Now he's setting the frame. It's important. It's important when we see objective truth. But the problem is, Joe, this is not objective. Because in order for you to determine whether the person was racist or not, you have to read his mind. You cannot read his mind. You can see and then interpret what happened, but you cannot see, you cannot understand or see his intention, unless you can identify with those intentions yourself.
highly
I might be wrong
possible
though. I might be
that
wrong though.
Starbucks
Let me
thing
know in
is
the comments
racist.
below.
I see.
section
I
below.
think it's
highly
just.
possible that
I
it
think
wasn't.
it's just as. Yeah, because it's just
it's
as.
possible-
But
it's
because of
possible that it
outrage
wasn't.
culture, it's here we are. It's got to be racist. It's like yes, the chances. I'm just telling you, like. So a lot of black people that come in. I work from the Starbucks. I'm writing a book. I work from Starbucks all over Philadelphia. That's like what I do, right? And it's just I don't know if there's any white people in Philadelphia. I'm constantly
There
trying
definitely
to find.
are. I
Like,
did a show there recently.
yeah,
A lot of white people.
What area of town were you
Oh,
in?
was it in the Tower Theater?
That's where we were.
Yeah, it was a
So
lot
there's
of black
inside your
people.
thing, but they probably commuted.
Oh, that fuck yeah, they did.
Yeah,
That drive
but
to
outside
Tower Theater
where that is,
woo.
yeah, it's all.
Again, Joe, bro. Why saying the comment, man? You know that's not true. Well, what's the purpose? See, this is the thing that sometimes Uza. Let me just calm down. Okay, these are the things that I really don't like about conversation. You already know the truth. Why are you hiding the truth just to say a statement? Are you playing with the devil's advocate? What is it? What is? Again, he was living in California back then when he was doing this. He has the American flag in the background, so he was living in California back then. But what's the purpose of setting up that statement and then finishing up with that conclusion? Yeah, you're right. They probably just, came from our state because, yeah, there's a lot. Bro,
Black people.
again, I might be
True or
wrong.
false?
Woo,
Yeah,
that's a
so it's
woo
it's a
drive.
bizarre place. Thank you.
See?
Yeah, it's rough.
Looking
it's
at
really
the-
rough,
I
and
don't
that's
know.
what people don't understand. I'm
feeling
like,
him
dude, like
right
it's
now.
a weird place to come to if you're racist. It's just it's like
Yeah.
really hard to be racist in Philadelphia because everyone's black. Like it's like
We went to the movies once, and we saw Planet of the Apes, actually, ironically, in a really black neighborhood. And then
Why ironically?
I was there for the UFC, and it was me and my friend Tommy from Connecticut, and we were looking for somewhere to go, and we went to this super black neighborhood. And
Around.
it was a fucking blast. These
Right.
people, it was hilarious.
Right.
Because I never go to all black movie theaters,
my
but
God.
they were yelling shit at the screen. I mean, it became like there was the audience that was entertaining, and then there was a movie entertaining. Like there's one scene in the movie where the Planet of the Apes got, what was the guy's name? Caesar got mad. He's like, "Oh, you fucked up now!"
yeah,
And
always,
everybody's
always,
like,
yeah.
and it,
It's-
we were
it's so vocal,
and we
yeah.
were barbecued. We were
Yeah.
high out of our mind. So the whole thing was like extra hilarious.
Black culture. This is the thing. It's so funny because so much of what I do is inspired by this. It's just like people like this. I guess presentation of black people in the media. It actually gets me mad because. To me, and I could be biased, I think black people are like the most like funny, like we're so funny, so endearing. Like when
Very.
I'm around my cousins, like there's not a
They
better
have a
time
soul,
that I can have when
right?
I'm around my
It's-
family.
it's on
We're
them.
not easily offended, right? We're constantly making fun of each other, making fun of other people. Like there's
So
no
how
one
do you
meaner.
think black people are portrayed?
Like victims, like everything upsets us, like we feel so oppressed, and I'm like, this is not like the black community that I grew up in my family, and it's also not the black community that's just like who we celebrate. Like I was watching, was it Chris Rock stand up Bigger and Blacker? I watched that like from 1994, classic. Like it is like the stuff that he said he could never say today. Just like because that is Black culture. Like, he went there on every single race, every single culture, made fun of everybody, and it was beautiful. It was perfection. It was a sold out Apollo theater. He comes out and the first thing he says is like racial. He's like, "Oh, white people in the back today." You know what I mean?
Right.
And everyone gets up and starts cheering, and then he starts making fun of Black people about things that we need to fix. Right? He's using he's being funny, but he's also saying stuff that's real, talking about that baby mama culture,
right,
and the difference between like the white community. He's talking about school shootings. It had just like maybe it was Columbine that just happened, and he starts talking about that, and nobody was sensitive. Nobody in the audience was going, the NRA. You know what I mean?
Well, that.
Oh, okay. I mean, just to give you an opinion on this, I mean,
he comes out and the first thing he says.
All right. So just to give you an opinion on this, not the strong side in both sides. I see Joe playing more the devil's advocate in this conversation, even not knowing the truth. You know, saying that I was doing a comedy show and there was a lot of white people, and Mrs. Owens said, "Oh, they probably came from outside." Yeah, you're right, because that area is rough. They probably did. So you know the truth. Why you playing good words here? I think that's what really got me a little bit. Owen's doing very good, but the thing is that she's being reactive to the conversation, not her strongest, because it seems like she still needed some season on her still. She sounded a little bit in the more immature. I don't want to say that's not the word. Well, green. She's being very reactive to the conversation. He moved the conversation around, and she doesn't say, "Yeah, but I want to stay here. Let's just tackle this." A little bit weak. What she says is true. I mean, there's no racism. You cannot eliminate racism. You can't. It's something almost impossible. I mean, you can create ethics in a culture that know that racism is wrong, but can you create racism? You can't. It's just something that we cannot do because we discriminate naturally. It's a mechanism of defense, and you cannot eliminate humans' mechanism of defense. That's my opinion. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Am I exaggerating? Am I crazy? Am I thinking I'm biased? Am I think is my analysis wrong? Let me know in the comments below.